On the grid, draw the reflection of the shape in the mirror line. So the way to do this is to dot the corners. So we have a corner 2 squares to the left, so we dot 2 squares to the right. This corner is 3 left, so we go 3 right. This corner is 2 left, so we go 2 to the right. This corner 1 left, so 1 right. Here 1 left, so 1 right. And to get to this corner from the mirror line, we go 1, 2, 3 squares to the left, so we can dot 1, 2, 3 squares to the right, and then we just need to join up our dots. 2 thermometers show the temperature inside and outside a greenhouse on a day in January. How many degrees warmer was it inside the greenhouse than outside? So if we look at the thermometer for inside, we can see that's between 10 and 12, so that's 11 degrees. And outside, we can see that we have 2 degrees. Now the question asks how many degrees warmer, so we need to find the difference, which means we can use subtraction, and 11 minus 2 is 9, so that's 9 degrees. Later, the temperatures were -1 degrees inside and -8 degrees outside. What is the difference between these two temperatures? So if we look at a number line, we can see that we have -8 outside, and we need to find the difference. So what do we need to add to -8 to get to the temperature inside, to get to -1? Well, from -8, we would need to count on 7, so the difference is 7 degrees. The following quadrilaterals all have a perimeter of 36 centimeters. Here is a table to show the length of each side. Complete the table, one quadrilateral is done for you. So remember, a quadrilateral is a 4-sided shape, and the perimeter is the total distance around the outside. So if we have a square and the perimeter is 36, we can find the lengths of the sides by dividing 36 by 4, because all sides are the same length, and that's why each side is 9 centimeters. Now we have a rectangle, and we know that with rectangles, opposite sides are the same length. So if one length is 3 centimeters, another must be 3 centimeters as well. That's 6 centimeters altogether, and because we need to make 36, we have 30 centimeters for these two lengths here. We know that the two lengths will be the same, so 30 divided by 2 is 15. 3 plus 3 plus 15 plus 15 is 36, and we've got opposite sides of the same length. Now we have a rhombus. A rhombus is like a square that's been pushed, so the angles are no longer 90 degrees, but all of the sides are still the same length, so we have 9 centimeters for all of our sides. And finally, we have a kite. A kite always has 2 shorter lengths that are the same and 2 longer lengths that are the same. So if one length is 10 centimeters, another will need to be 10 centimeters as well. That gives us 20 centimeters, so we need another 16 centimeters between these two sides to make a perimeter of 36. And 16 divided by 2 is 8, so our other two sides are both 8 centimeters. P stands for a multiple of 3, Q stands for a different multiple of 3. Tick each statement according to whether it is always true, sometimes true, or never true. First, the sum of P and Q is a multiple of 6. So we know that a multiple of a number is in that number's times table. So we can try different things out and see what works. So if P is 9 and Q is 3, that would give a sum of 12. 9 and 3 are multiples of 3 because they're numbers in the 3 times table, and 12 is a multiple of 6 because that's a number in the 6 times table. But if we try something else, so if we try 9 plus 6, 9 and 6 are multiples of 3, but 15 is not in the 6 times table, so this statement is sometimes true. Now, the difference between P and Q is a multiple of 3. So the difference is what you get when you subtract. And if we have a multiple of 3 and we subtract another multiple of 3, our answer will always be a multiple of 3. And of course, this works for all multiples of any number, not just multiples of 3. Again, you could try out a few different things, a few different subtractions, and check that that works. And now, the product of P and Q is a multiple of 9. So the product is what you get when you multiply numbers. So if P is 3 and Q is 6, that gives a product of 18, and 18 is a multiple of 9. So let's try something else. If P is 6 and Q is 12, that gives a product of 72, and 72 is a multiple of 9 as well. And we could try a few more different combinations out, but we will always get a multiple of 9. This is always true. If we have a multiple of 3 times a multiple of 3, we will get a multiple of 9, because 3 times 3 is 9. Here is a grid of 20 squares. What percentage of the grid is shaded? So a percentage is a fraction with a denominator of 100. But we don't have 100 squares. We only have 20 squares. So we'll need to find an equivalent fraction. First, let's count how many squares are shaded. We have 4 whole squares shaded, but we also have 4 half squares shaded. Remember, 2 half squares will make 1 whole square, so we can put these 2 together to make a square, put these 2 together to make another square, and we have 4 squares in the middle, so that's 6 squares shaded altogether. And we have 20 squares in total, 20 squares altogether, so as a fraction we have 6 over 20. But a percentage is a fraction with a denominator of 100, so we can find an equivalent fraction. 20 times 5 is 100 and 6 times 5 is 30. So because we have 6 squares out of 20, or 6/20ths shaded, and that's equivalent to 30 hundredths, we know that 30% must be shaded. Sophie poured some water out of a litre jug. Look how much is left in the jug. Estimate how many millilitres of water are left. So we need to remember that 1 litre is the same as 1000 millilitres, and we can see that most of the water is left. I would estimate that about 9/10 is left, so we can find 9/10 of 1000. 1000 divided by 10 is 100, times 9 is 900. So we can estimate that 900 millilitres of water is left. We get the mark for an estimate of between 850 and 950 millilitres. This relationship connects the number of pencils and the number of boxes. Number of pencils equals number of boxes times 12. How many pencils are in 18 boxes? So if the number of boxes is 18, to find the number of pencils, we need to multiply 18 by 12. We can use short multiplication, and that gives us 200 and 36 pencils. A drink and a box of popcorn together cost 90 pence. 2 drinks and a box of popcorn together costs £1.45. What does a box of popcorn cost? So we're told that a drink and a box of popcorn are 90 pence, but 2 drinks and a box of popcorn are £1.45. So we can see all that's different on this second line is that we have an extra drink. So we can find out how much a drink costs by working out £1.45 minus 90 pence. That's 55 pence. So we know that the drinks all cost 55 pence. So if we look at this top line, we have 55 pence plus a box of popcorn totals 90 pence. So to work out how much the popcorn costs, we can work out 90 pence minus 55 pence, and that gives us 35 pence as our answer. Here are 5 number cards. We have a half, 1.5, 2, 2.5, 3.5. Use 3 of the number cards to make this calculation correct. Something plus something in brackets times something equals 10. So if we use 2 as our number card here, we have something in brackets times 2 is 10. So what's in brackets will need to be 5. So if we have 3.5, we can have 1.5 as our other card, and that will give us a total of 5 because 3 plus 1 is 4, a half plus a half makes 1 extra whole, so that's 5 altogether, and 5 times 2 is 10. But there is another possible solution for this question. We could have 2.5 here, and then we have something in brackets times 2.5 equals 10. Well, we can work out that 2 times 2.5 will be 5, because if we double 2.5, we get 5, and that means 4 times 2.5 is 10. So we need what's in the brackets this time to total 4. If we use 3.5 and 1/2, that gives a total of 4, and 4 times 2.5 is 10. A field measures 89.5 metres by 60 metres. What is the perimeter of the field? So remember, the perimeter is the total distance around the outside. And we can see that opposite sides will be the same length. So this length here will be 89.5 and this length here will be 60. So to work out the perimeter, we can start by working out the total of the 2 longer lengths, so 89.5 times 2, or 89.5 plus 89.5, and that gives us 179.0. If we have 0.0, we have a whole number, so we can ignore the 0.0, and then we need to work out the total length of the 2 shorter sides, and 2 times 60 is 120. So if we add the lengths that we've found, that gives us 299 metres as our answer.